All right, everyone. Welcome to the show after the first day of the draft or the first 2 days of the draft. Um, a lot of interesting picks, a lot of questionable picks. I think we'll start right off the bat with our special guest Mike Smith coming in. What did you think about the Jordan Love pick?
Wow, right off the bat, huh?
I'm firing. I'm coming in hot, brother.
I've had like a 24 hours to mull this over, but I still can't quite get there.
Are you for it or against it?
The way I summed it, for the moment, against it.
Okay. Okay.
It's not so much against Love himself. I think he is definitely a project in a sense. Is he worthy of first round? I can go with that, but for the state of the organization right now, we just made the championship game, and Rodgers' window may be closing next 3-4 years. His contract is up in 3 years. Um, I was all win now mentality. And if you look through most of the beat writers and things like that on Twitter and elsewhere, I think everybody else was in the same boat practically too, where we thought, okay, if not a wide receiver, let's get a stud somewhere. Doesn't matter, just a playmaker on defense, whether it's linebacker, whether it's cornerback, um, offensive line. Even I would take somebody replace Balaga or a tackle that can replace Bakhtiari. Hopefully, we'll re-sign him, but his contract's up next year too. So to go quarterback, it's a hell of a move by Gutekunst, and certainly made his mark on on the
Yeah.
organization.
Yeah, well, there's one thing, and I always remember this. It was from years ago with the former GM that they always wanted to draft a quarterback, whether it was
Yeah,
in
Ron Wolf.
in the fourth round, the fifth round, the sixth round. They always wanted to draft a quarterback. So, I mean, they didn't. And then they picked up like what 26 picks. So Aaron Rodgers was a
Yeah,
24 pick when he was drafted. There's kind of a parallel here, when Aaron Rodgers was drafted, Brett Favre was 35. Aaron Rodgers, I believe, is 36.
they're six.
So they're
Yeah,
showing that they want to put some faith in someone who will be there, because Jordan Love is what, 21, 22. I mean, he's a young
yeah,
kid. So they want to have the next guy up, if and when Aaron retires, gets hurt, or whatever. Jimmy, what
yeah.
did you think of the pick?
Yeah, I thought. I mean, as a Bears fan, I loved it. I I was texting back and forth with Mike. I was hoping they wouldn't get any kind of playmaker at wideout because that's not what we want. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, there was always those rumors of Lafleur and Rodgers not getting along together. I mean, that's the first thing that came to my mind is it's just a big fu to Rodgers. I mean, I know you want to look towards the future. You always want to be early. You don't want to be late with getting a QB, but I think if anything, Love was borderline first round anyway. And then, like Mike said, you have Devontae Adams and who? There's nobody else on the outside really. And then they kind of double down with a weird pick with AJ Dillon. I mean, I don't really think they needed a running back.
No,
Um,
they have
I
Aaron
mean,
Jones.
he's good because he's a hammer, but I mean, yeah, you got Jones, you got Williams. I'm sure they have somebody else. I just don't understand those first two
Yeah.
picks. They finally go get a tight end in the third, and I don't even think he's that good of a tight end. I mean, I guess it's a body. I
Well,
mean,
he's
but
fast.
yeah. So I mean, it's something.
That's
It's
all I
just
can think on.
those first two picks just don't make a whole lot of sense. And I don't know if it's a new regime kind of saying, hey, we're gonna Rodgers is good and all, but like you said, his contract is up in 3 years. Put our stamp on it and go from there. But I just thought it was a weird draft so far.
Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead if you got
Yeah,
something to say.
I just I almost get this weird feeling like they're drafting like we're gonna take the year off. Like we may not play, we may not have an NFL season, which in my mind seems a little far. But when I look at the scenario, I say, well, okay, let's say there is not a season. Then things start to fall in place for me a little more, where um, not only do you get a full season of training for these guys, you get them, all that under their belt, but Rodgers another year older, things like that. These guys are going to be cheap. So I don't know. I guess I kind of see it that way. If you don't have the tape for next year's draft, and that's when you really wanted to get your quarterback, do you just bite on it now and say this year's a lost year? Let's move on. And then, like all the reasons you said, anyway, it's smart to get a quarterback when you don't need one. That's when you should take a quarterback.
Right.
Is when
Yeah.
you don't need a quarterback because you follow that mold, and then you're always going to be winning. You know, um,
Yeah.
and
I wonder, and I didn't even really think about that, was what happens if say there is no season this year? Say this coronavirus pandemic continues on. We don't have a football season, which that would be super depressing if we lose baseball and football in 1 year. I could give two craps about basketball. Hockey, but I don't care about basketball. I don't care about NCAA football a whole lot. I know that provides us what we talk about tonight, but I don't really pay attention to it when I watch. I kind of watch the highlights. I don't follow one team or anything specifically. But I don't. What would they do next year if there's no season? How do they determine the draft? Do they do a Madden simulation like they've been doing in NASCAR? Do they have the coaches with a playbook in front of them and a controller and say, all right, here's what we're going to do? I
wouldn't
mean,
that be wild?
I mean, there's already been guys in NASCAR who have been kicked out of the sport for dropping an N-bomb while racing. What are we going to do when Juju Smith-Schuster's on a Twitch stream MFing everyone? What are we going to do? So I don't know what's going to happen. This is all brand new territory to everyone. Clearly, we've never been through a pandemic. I hope we are never through it again. I hope we get through it eventually. But I think there may be something to it. They may be planning for what if there is no season. So do they go into a quote unquote training camp where they give them the
Right.
playbook and I know they got those virtual reality goggles now. Do they do training that way? I mean, who knows? This is going to be some pretty weird stuff going on coming up in the future here, I think. So, all right.
As far as training goes, I think there's a way to do training and still be responsible, with social distancing and whatnot.
Sure.
Just, yeah, initiating walkthroughs and playbooks. I mean, how do you do that? But um, I don't know. Maybe it's just a diehard fan that's trying to justify these picks, I suppose. But it is a real possibility. I mean, other seasons are canceled or, you know, like you said, simulated right now. So who knows?
Well, and I know, like I think it was in South Korea, they're playing baseball again after what they went through, but there's no fans. And I believe the team was like all together in quarantine for a while before they could even let them play. You know,
South Korea handled things pretty well too, to be honest with you. Um, they jumped on quarantining and stuff pretty early.
yeah. Jimmy, you had something to say? Looked like you had something to say.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I mean, being like Ben, like you said, and we all kind of know. I mean, Rogers had already been through this. I mean, there's no. I mean, there were reports of how Favre treated Rogers. I mean, do you, Mike, since you're kind of more in tune to it, do you think Rogers is um, going to be helping train Jordan Love, or is it like the Brett Favre kind of thing? Like, hey, here's your playbook, bro. Learn what you can in 3 years, and I'm gone.
Yeah, I mean, Rogers has already made comments as far as, if we were to draft a quarterback in the first round, he made these comments a month ago, um, pretty much saying, go ahead. It doesn't bother me at all because fat chance beating me out, and, he's completely right. I don't care if they would have drafted, number one overall and taken Burrow. He's not beating Rodgers, not right now, in my opinion. But will Rodgers help him along? I think so because he went through it, to a certain extent. I think even Favre maybe gets a bad rap for that because if you hear them talk now, Rodgers is able to look back and say, how Favre did help him with certain things, even though that was a much more volatile situation. I think,
Yeah.
Rodgers isn't going back and forth out of retirement here, things like that. So I think he'll be cool with them. I don't think Rodgers is super threatened, but Rodgers plays with the chip on his shoulder. I mean, if there's one thing people don't like about Rodgers is he can be arrogant, and he's going to do what he wants. So I think he'll be fine. I think they'll get along fine. But if this lights a fire under his ass, I'm happy with that.
I think there's something to be said about how a man treats his family, and you know how Aaron Rodgers treats his family. He
You
doesn't
don't
talk.
know
He
that.
doesn't talk to him. Now I know I'll probably get flack for this, but I did watch Jordan Rodgers at season of The Bachelor with JoJo because I watched it with my wife. It's our guilty pleasure. I'm not afraid to say it. I watch it. I enjoy it. It's stupid TV to watch and just not think about anything. Drink and watch all the craziness happen. But to see, like, to hear that he doesn't talk to his mom and dad, doesn't talk to his brothers because something happened and no one will say anything. Like, everyone's like, oh, Aaron knows what happened. Talk to Aaron. Well, Aaron's not going to tell you what happened. I
Yeah.
mean, there's a lot to be said about how a man treats his family. I mean, you think he's going to treat a kid who's here to take his job? I mean, I can see it kind of being one of those things where he throws the playbook at him and goes, "Good luck, kid. It's my show."
Yeah, I mean, anybody in that situation is gonna, you know, maybe not extend like the most time with the guy. First of all, he's a rookie, right? I
Right.
mean, and then he is there to take his job. The writing's on the wall. But yeah, I don't know. The family thing, I think I see what you're saying, but we don't know that whole situation.
No, we don't. You're
Rogers
right. We
has
don't.
always been very private. I mean, I'm kind of surprised, when he was dating Olivia Munn, that was like still almost 10 years into his career, and we never heard of him dating anybody. Then he starts dating Olivia Munn, and it kind of became much more public. Now he's with Danica Patrick, but it's it sounds like a tabloid now. I know
Well,
everybody.
that's what we. Hey, that's what we talk about on the show. It's all the BS that goes on in these guys'
Yeah,
lives.
so who do you
We got
want?
nothing else to talk about.
Yeah,
All
no
right, well,
kidding.
let's move on from the Packers for right now. Let's go with another little before we get to the Bears, which I know Mike's waiting for. We
Oh,
we talk about Jalen Hurts. Okay, the the weirdest pick of the draft, I think, and Jimmy, I think, would agree with me. What the hell are they doing? You have
No.
Carson Wentz, who, yes, he is often hurt, but he's still a decent quarterback. I mean, I wouldn't get rid of him. I'd take him over Mitch any day. Um, I just don't know what they're doing. I mean, Jimmy, are they doing a Taysom Hill thing? Am I going to love what they're doing eventually?
yeah, I don't know. I think that is the weirdest pick. I think the Jordan Love pick, it is what it is. Future. I mean, Carson Wentz has only been in the league, 4 years? So they're not getting him to replace him. Okay, so if he does get hurt, I mean, it sucks for Hurts because, Wentz is a god in Philadelphia. I mean, they already jettisoned Foles to keep him. They paid him $100 million. I don't know what the game plan is. Like, okay, if you're that worried about your starting quarterback that you have to draft another quarterback in the second round just in case he gets hurt, then maybe you should move on from that quarterback. It just doesn't make sense to me. And yeah, now they can run all these stuff packages. That's dumb. They have so many holes that they could fill. They need more than just the one receiver. And then
Right.
you go and you pick, and there were a lot of good receivers on the board still when they just completely reach for some type of sub package quarterback. I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
Well, what gets me is they show Doug Peterson like celebrating about it. What does that mean? Like, if you're Carson Wentz and you see Doug Peterson giddy as a schoolgirl about Jalen Hurts, what are you thinking? I'd be like, whoa, man, you're paying me all this money to be the quarterback, and you're happy that you're happy no matter who you pick. You have to be happy. I mean, no one's picking someone going, oh, crap, I picked that guy. We do, not them. But it's like, what is that? What message does that send to Carson Wentz when your head coach, who I imagine they have a pretty good relationship with, is like super happy? Oh, we got Jalen Hurts. Like, yeah, Carson, you're 25 years old. You're getting old.
It's baffling. I don't know.
It's gonna be the head scratcher, I think, for this year. I really do. I don't know. And again, I'm watching this with my wife and my son, who's actually into it, surprisingly, and she looks at me and she goes, Why would they pick him if they have Carson Wentz? It doesn't make sense." And I'm like, I don't know. I just don't know. It doesn't make any sense. So bring on the trade rumors. That's what's going to happen. And Jimmy and I have already been talking back and forth. Cohen in a 4 or Cohen and something
Oh
for Carson
man.
Wentz. Let's go. Or trade
Cohen and corpse of Jimmy Graham.
I will not be
corpse.
him.
Yeah, the corpse of Jimmy Graham. Let's go. All right, let's get to the Bears, Jimmy. So we picked we got our tight end, possibly the future. I don't know. Maybe. I know you weren't super thrilled about the pick. Then we got Jalen Johnson in our corner in our backfield, which I know you were very happy about that pick. Which I believe I was actually looking back at some of our pictures from our mock drafts. I think you actually had him picked at 50 in one of them. I think you actually correctly picked that. So kudos to you. I think that was you. I couldn't remember if it was me or you that did it, but I think it was you.
I'll take credit. That's fine.
So what's the issue with Komet that you may or may not have? I mean,
I just think so. I mean, so they paid Jimmy Graham what
Too
$9
much.
million
too much.
for no reason. I mean, he hasn't done anything in years. You already saw what he did in Green Bay. Okay, fine. So you pay him. I mean, because even as bad as he is, he's still the number one tight end that we have. Then you cut Trey Burton. You still have Shaheen on the team, which obviously he's garbage too. So I just don't quite understand it. Okay, he's the number one tight end. It's a bad tight end class. I mean, the next tight end was drafted 49, 50 picks later. There's no way that a round and a half difference between the top tight end and the second tight end. I think you had more pressing needs that you could have got at 43 instead of a tight end. Now, I mean, I guess if that's the guy you wanted, that's, kind of like the Jordan Love. You trade up and you get him. He was there. But, I mean, you need somebody on the O-line. So now you're hoping and praying that somebody is there in the fifth where you're going to have to try and take a tackle and move to guard, unless they think they have a guard on the roster, which I don't.
They don't.
They need a strong safety because Deion Bush cannot be the starting strong safety. I mean, so as soon as they picked Komet, I was already mad because I figured there'd be no good corners left. So as soon as they picked Johnson, I had a smile on my face. I'm starting to warm up to the Komet pick. I mean, I really like Johnson. I had him as my CB3. I know he's coming off a shoulder injury, but I'm not worried about it. There's no way they could have went into if they even have a season, with Tolliver and Robeson and Artie Burns as your CB2. There's no damn way. I mean, those guys are okay maybe to fill in at nickel if there's an injury. I mean, they're going to get ate up if they were the starting corner. So, I mean, Jalen Johnson, I really like Komet. It is what it is. I think that's the future. I mean, you can move on from Jimmy Graham next year and then just go from there.
Have you been kind of now, Mike? You can feel free to chime in on this. Have you been kind of bored with this draft? I mean, as much as it's like it's the Zoom draft, it's the virtual draft. Everyone's at home. First off, there's no microphones at home unless they're on a microphone directly with the NFL Network. I have not heard an accidental swear yet. I was hoping to have the whole damn room mic'd up and hear everyone dropping F-bombs. Did you hear the thing about Sean Payton? How he had like every single non-sponsored product on his table. He had Twizzlers. He had Dr. Pepper.
I saw Twizzlers. Yeah.
He had some other like potato chip on there. They're like, all these are not sponsored by the NFL, or they're not sponsors of the NFL. So I'm wondering if I didn't see any feed of him. So I'm wondering if they told him, hey, get that stuff off your table, or just we're not going to put your camera up anymore.
Yeah, he had a clear table.
Did he? Okay.
Yeah, I think they showed him for that Troutman pick, and I think he had like a cup of water. That was it.
Sponsored by Pepsi.
Exactly. They learned. Yeah, I mean, I think
Mike McCarthy taped over the Apple logo.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because they're Microsoft. That's why you've seen them with the big flat screen computers in front of them, because they probably got sent to them. Have you seen the IT people there with the masks on? Have you guys seen those IT people in there at all? I saw with.
Are they the ones with the masks?
I think so. Like the ones that are like button, like wearing little. I tell you, I work in IT. I do not wear a button-up shirt like that. So I don't know why these guys wear that and just keep feeding the rumor. We don't wear that stuff. I wear a polo to work. I wear a pair of nice pants. On Casual Friday, I wear a sweatshirt usually. I don't go dressed like yeah. You're welcome. All right, moving on from that, let's get to the last. We got a few more minutes here before we wrap up. So, what do you think is going to happen the next day? I guess next day, because it's just tomorrow. I always think they go to Sunday, but they never go to Sunday. I don't know why. I think they do 2 rounds a day. What do you think Mike, we'll start with you. What do you think the Packers are going to do with the rest of their picks? I don't know how many they have left. Maybe 5 or 6 picks.
Yeah, we had 10 coming in. We traded one to get Love at 26 off of 30. So we made our second pick in the second round. Third pick tight end. We don't get a pick for 75 picks after that. So
Woo-hoo.
yeah, it's like I'll have to double check real quick, but I think we have 4 6-round picks and 3 7, something crazy like that. I'll tell you what, I'm not really. It's hard to guess here what LaFleur is doing and what Gutekunst is doing. I guess name a position that you think we have filled, and we'll probably take that.
Yeah, if you have an All-Pro, you're gonna get his replacement.
Yeah.
I will say, we all wanted a weapon at wide receiver. We thought we were going to come out guns blazing, and it's such a deep class of wide receivers. Everybody knows that. But we didn't take nearly any of the top 15 receivers so far. So I went back and looked at the roster trying to figure this out. I mean, we did sign Devin Funchess, which there's mixed feelings on that. But he does have some good highlights. I mean, the guy snatches the ball out of the air, and he's a big target, which is something that we've been lacking. So if he's healthy, maybe they do lean on Funchess. Devontae is a number one, and we have seen him score touchdowns without help, without somebody on the other side. So maybe they really are saying, we're covered at wide out. We're getting, Scantling back. I'm not really sure. So I guess deep in the draft, maybe they'll get a receiver. I'd like to see them address offensive line. I mean, we just lost Balaga. We've got a couple guys in there stopgaps, but if you're not going to give us the stud playmakers and you're going to draft for the future, you're going to take players, the way they have so far. Then at least give me an offensive line, that I can watch grow, prepare this next season, and then protect Love whenever he starts, in the next 2-3 years.
Yeah, I mean, and you're right, Jimmy. I mean, look at an All-Pro position. They'll probably draft that backup. I mean, what do you think the Bears are going to do, Jimmy? Because we don't pick again until the 5th round. So I mean, I know the Packers are not starting again until like the 6th, but we got a couple picks in the 5th, 6th, and 7th to go still. So I mean,
we do have 1 4th round and 1 5th round.
Okay, all right. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
So you can at least get something, maybe.
Yes. I mean, our next pick is 163. I don't know if they're going to stay there. I really want them to move up. I was hoping they would have moved up in the 3rd, but that probably would have meant sacrificing next year's 2 or something like that. I mean, I think there's just still way too many good players. They're going to have to – I still think they're going to have to go offensive line, whether that's guard or a sneaky need is Bobby Massey at right tackle. He's a bum. So, I mean, like Ben Barch is still out there. You could even draft him, have him play guard, and then kick out to right tackle maybe next year after you move on from Massey. They still need some speed at wide receiver. I mean, they keep getting the same kind of body type guys. They need somebody kind of like a Taylor Gabriel, but better. Something like that. And then I guess just fill needs after that, maybe linebacker depth. We have 2 6s and we have 2 7s. I think it has to be O-line with the next pick, and then maybe linebacker depth. You got to hopefully try to find a strong safety somewhere in there.
Do you think they pick a quarterback at all?
I don't know. I think it's going to depend on who's there. Like, if they're there in the 5th at 163 and like Anthony Gordon, who I like, is there, possibly. Because I think Mitch is gone next year anyway. And then, Foles can opt out no matter what and sign a whole other contract if he wants. So I think you're probably going to have to get somebody on the roster besides practice squad Tyler Bray. I don't want James Morgan. I see him high up there. Like I said, he can't read the defense. So if they do get quarterback, would they somehow move into the 4th and grab Easton or Fromm? I guess they could. I don't know if they're willing to give up extra draft capital when we're already kind of limited.
Yeah, we're at the bare minimum as it is right now. What do you think about like Cam Newton and Jameis Winston, who are still free agents? Do you see possibly the Bears going after either one of them? It'd be a third string spot right now in the Bears at least, because who the hell is going to play number one, number two? It's either Mitch or Nick. So, I mean, do you wonder what they're going to do with that, or do you think we see Cam go to New England or Jameis? I mean, I don't think Jameis is going to New England, and I don't know what the Cincinnati Bengals are going to do with Andy Dalton because they're not releasing him yet and they're not trading him. So what is he going to do? I mean, they got Burrow now. They're not going to have him start over Burrow. It's Burrow's show. It's they've made it clear it's his show. It's not going to be it's a competition. No. You draft the number one guy, it's his show. I know Andy Dalton's been around for a while, but you're going to pay all that money. You're going to make sure you get your guy you want, and he's going to be the guy. So what's the holdup with Dalton not getting moved, released, or traded? I mean, it's so weird what's going on there with Cincinnati in that position. And then to have, former MVP Cam Newton, leading passer last year in passing yards, but also interceptions. Jameis Winston sitting on the sideline right now for no one. I just wonder what's going to happen. If the Bears go to one of them and say, "Hey, we'll pay $5 million to hold a clipboard for a year," because we're not going to keep Mitch and Nick. If this year doesn't go well, he's gone. I mean, or even if it does go well and he wants to get paid, he's going to go. We're not going to pay him. The Bears aren't going to open the McCaskies aren't going to open the book for anyone. They never have. They're never going to. I mean, they paid Khalil Mack, but that was because he had a big contract with Oakland. So it's just, I don't know what's going to happen. It's just so weird. Such a weird situation.
Yeah.
Plus, they can't work out for anybody because of the coronavirus.
Right. I think with New England, I don't think I just don't see Cam going there. I mean, I know some big personalities went up there, but they kind of went there as, reclamation, like Randy Moss and Chad Johnson. I just don't see Cam Newton going up there with his personality and everything really meshing. Jameis, hell no, I can't. Belichick would kill him. I think really, as far as like the trade market with Dalton goes, I think everybody is just waiting until the draft is over to see what they could come up with. If you don't get anybody, you're looking at James Morgan, somebody scooped him from you. Or like, hell, all right, call Cincinnati and offer him a 5 for Dalton. I mean, he comes in, he can at least push Stidham to see, how it's going. I don't know if Stidham is the future there. The only other, it's weird because there's what other place can they go and beat out the starter? Jacksonville, maybe?
Yeah, Jacksonville.
I mean,
That's the only place I get. Jacksonville and maybe Miami. Maybe. Because
yeah,
Tua's not going to start. I don't think he's healthy enough to start yet.
yeah, the whole Miami draft, I did not like the draft at all. I mean, Tua, okay, they overdrafted the Austin Jackson, and then they said, "Oh, give him a year or two." So is it just a redshirt year for everybody that they drafted in the first round? Because they might do that with Tua, have him sit and have Fitz go, and then they got another corner. They have the 2 highest paid corners already. So I don't think Miami is an option. I think it really is. I mean, unless they want to, maybe the Jets. But I mean, they love Sam Darnold.
They love
so I don't
Sam
think
Darnold
that's
too
going to
much.
happen. Yeah.
I can't think of it. Mike, can you think of any other teams that need that don't have a dedicated number one guy right now? I mean, to me, it's Miami, but then you see Fitz. I can't think. I mean, in New England, I really can't think of any other team where they're like, we don't know who our number one is going to be.
I not so much a team that doesn't have a number one, but there are a lot of interesting scenarios. Like, is Big Ben coming back healthy? Would they rather sit behind somebody like that, or even like in Cleveland, somebody come in and compete with him? I don't know.
Well, they have Case.
Yeah, they just picked up Case Keenum in Cleveland, so I don't think they're going to be
Yeah.
going on anyone there because they're going to just paid him $10 million guaranteed, I think, something like that.
Wow,
Yeah.
really?
So I mean, again, Chase Daniel is going to make a living being a career backup, which is good for Hey, kudos for you, man. You made a hell of a lot of money not having to ever play a game. Because I think he's got Jimmy? Was it 3 starts? He's gotten his entire career.
Something like that.
3 spot starts because the guy was hurt or it's garbage time and we need someone. So yeah, and he went to Detroit, so he went to the one of the rival teams. But Yeah, I think this is it's been a weird draft. I wanted to see more trades, and every trade was really boring. Like, oh, we're gonna swap one place. Oh, gee whiz.
Yeah.
What happened to the real sexy ones where you saw like, we're gonna trade, like the Bears trading up to 2.
Oh
Um,
God.
no, I know, Jimmy. It's just flashbacks for you.
Do we have time to like? Who do you think had the best draft so far?
The best draft, not not the Raiders. I know that.
I like the Colts. I think they've had a solid.
They've had an okay draft. I mean, the Cardinals seem like they had a pretty good draft this year. They seem like they
Their
had a pretty.
off season is awesome.
They seem like they're putting it together. I will tell you who I don't think is having a good draft at all. Is I think the Texans are having a bad draft, but that's because freaking Bill O'Brien's in charge. God only knows what's going to happen with them.
I'd say the Ravens. I mean, the
Mhm.
Ravens, I mean, they're already a monster and they're just reloading. I mean, they got J.K. Dobbins to add to that rushing attack. And I really like, besides the tackle they took, I really like the Vikings. I mean, they got my guy, Jeff Gladney, and then they got Cam Dantzler. I mean, they got 2 starting outside corners, and they got Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
I mean, they still have a lot more holes. I don't know why they didn't address the O-line at all. But those are some nice pieces to add to what they got.
Did you guys see? And I don't remember what player it was, and I should have taken a note of it when I saw it. But there was a guy who who was suspended for a season because he failed the PED test for using someone else's pee.
Oh, I heard
And
about that.
and I'm like thinking to myself, why would anyone draft him? Like, take away the good football player part. He's clearly trying to cheat some way. Like, and he's hiding it.
He
Like,
said
trying
he
to
said
hide
it
it.
was because he drank too much water to add weight for the combine.
Oh
Makes
yeah,
no damn
That's
sense.
why it was diluted.
yeah.
Oh
That's
no, you're
that's
talking about somebody else, right?
someone else.
Yeah, just use somebody else.
He used somebody else's. I mean, I've seen it.
Sarah, you're
What
pregnant.
exactly like in TV. Like, yeah, sir. Well, there's one problem with your pee test, sir. You're 6 weeks pregnant.
Right.
I am. So it's just been an overall weird draft. Then I'm really I was really off put by watching Roger Goodell like yell at his TV, like
Dude.
like constantly looking back, going like this. Come on, talk. It's like they can't hear you. What are you doing?
Well, like the Chargers and the Lions, they couldn't even fill enough fans on the screen behind them. It's like, how do you not get fake fans?
Yeah, plant people.
Yeah, I know they do it every year, but good God, man! Like every single pick, every single player is interesting or fascinating.
Right.
Every
Yeah,
single one.
yeah,
And
all
I'm
of them.
like, okay,
Yeah.
and this we got a very special. It's like, all right, bro, like we know you're gonna pump the military and everything. You got the doctors you're gonna pump and all that. Like,
Right.
just speed it up, man. It's already virtual. Let's just speed it up. There's no reason,
It's a dread.
I know that they already knew the picks probably five times before they were there. So just speed it up. Otherwise, I'll just go on Twitter and I'll just get all the picks tipped, and then I'll know what's going on when I go back and watch. And you're four or five trades behind.
Yeah, what's so funny is that my wife, and she thought, and she again, like I was talking with Jimmy, she was up at 4 a.m. this morning for some reason because she just can't sleep right now because of work. But she looks at me and goes, "How did that guy have the hat so fast?" And I go, "What are you talking about?" She goes, "How did he have the hat? Did he know he was being picked by them?" And I said, "No, they probably sent a box with everyone's hat in it because they don't know who's getting picked. And you just grab the hat you're getting picked by because usually they hand you the hat when you walk out."
Yeah.
And then she kind of like put it together in her head because, being sleep deprived. She's like, that makes sense. And I looked it up, and sure enough, when they were talking to, I remember who it was, one of the draft picks was telling how he was giving them out to his friends, all the extra hats. Because he's like, well, I don't need them. I'm not playing for them. So I'll just give them to my friends and family because I can't use them.
I had the
So-
same conversation with my wife.
Did you
I said,
really?
I said, I don't know what the hell they do with 31 other hats. I mean, I guess they could keep them for outfits or something. I said, but yeah, I said they sent them a box because I know they showed somebody, like you said, and the table just had every team on it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know what they do. Send them to Africa. I have no idea what they do.
That's where all of the San Francisco 49ers Super Bowl shirts are.
The Bears
I
Super
was
Bowl.
thinking,
Yes.
the year that you got drafted into the league, you have a example of everybody's hat. I don't know.
As you can see, I'm wearing my Raiders hat. I got my Jamarcus Russell jersey. I got it at a garage
Are you
sale.
a Raiders fan?
No, I'm not. I'm a Bears and Steelers fan.
Okay.
I'm a NFL fan, and Jimmy will
He was
attest
wearing
to this.
Chiefs. He was
No,
wearing
that's
Chiefs
cool. I
last
just-
time. So
Yeah.
Yeah, we
La-
haven't
la-
talked,
yeah.
so
Last video, I had my Chiefs Super Bowl hat on with my Chiefs T-shirt.
I
So
did notice that.
my wife and I have an agreement that every Super Bowl, if the Bears are not in the Super Bowl, we pick a team to cheer on. Now, if it's the Steelers, I'm obviously picking the Steelers because I've got a bunch of their stuff already too. But the
Okay.
last few years, it's been the Patriots. So I've been lucky enough to wear my Gronk jersey. My son has had his Brady jersey. My daughter had her Brady jersey from however many years ago they were in it that we had the stuff. So we save a little bit of money there. But this year was the Chiefs, and actually, the day the Chiefs went to the Super Bowl, the day they won the AFC Championship game, I ordered custom-made T-shirts on Fanatics.com, and my wife was like, "Oh crap, I'm gonna go on a different website and get them from the used one, Poshmark or whatever. You shouldn't have bought them because how much were they? Oh, they're pretty expensive. Oh, so I tried to get them returned, and they told me because they were custom-made, they can't return them. And then I go, well, wait a minute, I just ordered them 30 minutes ago. There's no way that you have them made yet.
Right.
So then they told me, had you called within 30 minutes, you would have been able to cancel them. And I go, well, I've been on the hold for an hour. So 30 minutes ago, you weren't taking my phone call. So then they moved me up to a supervisor, and I was like, this is ridiculous. So I sent I blasted them on Twitter, believe it or not, and I MF'd them up and down. Within about 3 hours, I had a direct message from them asking what my order number was.
Oh, good.
And then they refunded my money, and they still sent me the shirts. Now, my wife's shirt I had her birth year and our last name on it, and mine was going to have my birth year and my last name on it. Hers was right. She could give two craps about it being right or wrong. Hers was right. I got Nicole Hardman.
So you get for complaining, Karen?
I open it up and I look at it. I go, oh, this is 82. Yeah, this is yours. And I open the other one, going, great. Mine's be the same. They made it already. And I like Nicole Hardman. You couldn't send me a Mahomes. You couldn't send me Kelsey. You picked the most obscure wide receiver on the team to send me. Really? So I won't deal with Fanatics again. I'll just keep sticking to China.
Well, a couple months, but yeah.
Yeah, I order ahead. So, all right. Well, I think that's it for this week, guys, or at least for now. We'll probably have another one of these. I think we're going to probably stick to this format going forward because we actually get a lot more hits on YouTube than we do on our podcast site, which is kind of funny because we just started doing this like this week. But whatever. I'm going to add a subscribe button.
YouTube.
What's that?
I watched you guys on YouTube your last one.
All right, cool. All right, well, I'm gonna put a subscribe button in there, so make sure you click on it. If you see this video, subscribe to our channel. We also have a Facebook page. You can find us at BJ's Fantasy Corner. Like us on Twitter at BJ's Fantasy Corner. Everyone else, have a good night. Mike, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. Anytime you want to come on, just shoot us a message and we'll get you on. We enjoy having guests, don't we, Jimmy?
Yeah, definitely breaks up monotony listening to you.
You shut your mouth when you talk to me.
Good to see you, Jimmy. Thanks a lot.
All right, guys.
Yeah, no problem, man.
We'll see you next time on the corner. Everyone have a good night.